Welcome to the Legendarium Green Team. I'm your host, Kyptan, and with me today is Lord Ash,
Hello, everybody.
Stormrunner,
Hey, how's it going?
and Swolafan.
Merry Christmas in November.
Today we're going to be covering the second half of The Will to Battle, the 2017 novel by Dr. Ada Palmer. We are 3/4 of the way through. How are our newbies feeling, and how did they like this book? Do some general impressions before we dive into spoilers, because it's going to be hard not to dive into spoilers.
It's gonna be hard not to dive into spoilers. I think I'm positive on this book as a whole. I liked a fair amount of the moments in the back half. I'm probably left uncertain as to how cohesive the whole narrative is going to feel for me at the end.
Okay.
And the focus of the story seems it seems a little unfocused to me, I guess I'll say. But despite that, there were character moments that worked for me and plot moments that worked for me. I'm very interested to see where perhaps the stars goes.
Okay.
I have enjoyed each subsequent book less as we've progressed. There were still a lot of interesting ideas in this book. I think that it kind of feels like not much happened, and that the event basically happened I don't know. It feels like it's kind of like a filler episode.
A filler episode. Okay.
Not entirely. That's being a bit harsh. There were definitely a lot of points where I was thinking, okay, let's kind of get on with it. I feel like we're spinning our wheels as far as the story goes.
Okay.
But still a lot of good character stuff, a lot of cool world building things. How the tech story delves into the different political philosophies is interesting, and in particular how the book uses some of the meta textual stuff is interesting. Like some of the dialogues between different characters that may or may not be there or not, or mostly not there. But
Okay.
I'm still shocked that a certain historical character has not been mentioned in the narrative. I think at all.
Jesus?
Napoleon.
Yeah.
Well, we're still in the Will to Battle. We're not in
Yes.
perhaps the stars yet. That's all I'll say there.
Yeah, maybe it'll just be that's all that's discussed in perhaps the stars. Like Hobbes was the only thing that was discussed in this one.
Not the only thing. Also, the Bourbon dynasty of Spain was brought up quite a bit.
Yes, I think perhaps one criticism, like a broad criticism I have of the series after finishing this book, is there are a lot of different political philosophers and thinkers introduced, but I would like to have seen them in dialogue with each other past the point of their introduction.
Okay.
I feel like Mycroft tends to introduce them and then say, these people are very important. This person is very important to the history of ideas, and then doesn't really discuss them beyond that. And it was probably the most egregious for me in To Like the Lightning. But yeah, I would have liked to see all of the ideas interacting in a more, I guess, explicit way. There is some implicit stuff going on, though, and some interhive politics that I think is interesting.
Sun Gamer asks, do you feel like you understand what's happening so far without having read all the text that Palmer is referencing?
What's happening is a big question. How do I answer? What is he referring to when? Sure, I mean, I can follow the plot. I can understand the characters on page. Do I understand all of the ideas and how they're influenced by some of the text that Palmer is basing them on? No, but I mean, do I need to?
I do feel like sometimes, for example, when introducing Pascal and how Pascal relates to the content of this book, they'll talk about it. They'll maybe bring it up a couple more times, and then they just assume that you keep it in mind. Or maybe you go and read some Pascal and see how it relates to Mycroft's description of it.
I can see that.
That's how I like it.
I respect that Dr. Palmer respects the reader in that sense. Admittedly, for me, the part that I didn't, and this is a pretty big one, other than more into the Lightning and Seven Surrenders, but I didn't really get the Sade stuff, which I get that's a big deal in those two books in particular. So
The what
You didn't get the what stuff?
How do you pronounce it? Sod. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so which is a big deal or at least comes up a lot. So I did feel like I was probably missing I mean, I don't think I was missing a lot in the context of when Sod was referenced. I understood what was going on, so I could just make guesses as to why like Sod was being brought up. But I did feel like I was missing out a little bit by having not understood that philosophy a little more.
I think the Palmer does a good job of introducing something like Desaad or Pascal, not inundating you with information that you need to know, setting it up, saying, "Hey, if you want to read more, you can learn it. This is what you need to know for this story."
Yeah, and I want to make clear that I'm not saying that that's a problem with like the book as written. That's just I think I would have had the experience enhanced if I had read and been more familiar with Desaad.
I think you could say that for about anything, though.
True.
That's actually kind of why I read so much.
And it's why the reading list for these books can extend pretty far.
Yeah, I bet. So I don't think I'm having much of a problem following the story or the questions that are being asked by it. I think perhaps one discontinuity or one thing I'm having trouble with is these figures are said to be important to the people in the world, right? Like they have Voltaire as the patriarch, right? That's not really referenced beyond when he says it says him to like the lightning, right?
They're said to be knowingly important to the characters, some of the characters in the world, but mostly our narrator seems to be the one.
Maybe Mycroft is the only one that cares.
Not the only one, but certainly one of the most caring about them.
And there is a character named after him.
Yeah. We're still not in spoiler territory. So, Hurin, your general thoughts?
Same as the last two. I mean, I'm still really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the plot a lot more than I thought I would. And the characters, I thought they were a lot more fleshed out than I thought they were, if one could say that.
Okay.
I think she does a remarkable job of introducing the players in book one, giving you just enough to remember them, and then each time they're introduced, you learning more about them. Maybe not caring about them, but at least understanding them a little bit more. Understanding how the way that they are impacts the way that they view the world and see the world, and everything makes sense psychologically. I still love a lot of the stuff that she's doing with Mycroft and how he's going crazier and crazier, and then how that's manifesting in the prose. I like the different narrators that she showed up. I like how people interact with the narrator. Yeah, I'm enjoying the ride a lot.
Okay. This section of the book has one of my favorite chapters in it. It has chapter 20. But prior to that, I mostly enjoy the shift in narrative style. And we'll get into whether that is intentional, appropriate, or affecting or not later on. But when I finished this book the first time, I absolutely did not think it was fair that Perhaps the Stars was not out yet.
When did Perhaps the Stars come out?
Perhaps the Stars came out in 2021, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
That sounds right.
2021, October 19th. One of my few bookstore visits in person in that COVID era.
I think I was lucky enough to start reading this series in 2021, so I didn't have to wait long.
I started the series just about as The Will to Battle was starting to be published.
I am glad that I'm getting to read this series in a pretty short time frame. It's nice knowing that I won't have to wait very long to see what happens next.
Good.
I don't know if I would remember. Well, I mean, because the plot itself is not, at least for this book, is not super complex. So, like, I'd probably remember enough of that. But I can see where, I mean, all the books, they're meant to be read as like one big thing. It seems like
The plot is pretty complex, though.
Is it?
Very complex, in my opinion.
all right. I'll
There's tons of factions, tons of moving pieces, a lot kept from the reader, a lot still kept from the reader.
A bunch done achronologically.
Achronological, and we still don't know what happened. For example, the book ends on a mystery of. I'm not going to go any more into that because it's spoilers, but
I will rephrase it too. It's not the plot. I still think like the events of the book, like what happens, I don't think is super complex, but like there's still a lot to keep track of. Like the timeline of just stuff that happens in the book is not, I don't think, terribly complex.
Well, I will agree that the proportion of the book, which is just Mycroft thinking to himself and extrapolating and not discussing things that actually happen in real life, is remarkably large.
Yeah, it's like 50%.
I find the plot extremely easy to follow, I think.
Easy to follow and complex are not mutually exclusive. I think that's a testament to Palmer's writing.
Okay, yes.
I think it's partially Palmer's writing, partially maybe I'm just used to epic fantasy plots at this point.
What do you mean? This is hard science fiction.
This is strict fantasy. There is no science.
I will say that there is a point where it asks us to believe that sets did a thing involving vast predictive amounts of data and vast historical assumptions. Did it strain your credulity?
Oh, you're gonna have to remind me what that is when we get into spoilers.
Okay.
This is basically foundation science.
I think it's about time to dive into spoiler territory.
Wait, 1 second.
Okay.
Did someone besides me compare this to something by Asimov?
I-
I mean, it's basically Asimov, though, right?
Ash got chewed out for comparing Terra Ignota to Asimov.
Twice.
On
I
the
stand by
podcast?
that comparison, by the
Yes,
way.
on the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, the set's predictive abilities are very much what's his name? Harry
Seldon,
Harry Seldon.
right?
Yeah.
Tyler Seldon. Yeah.
So I think perhaps what makes the plot easy for me to grasp is I think the characters are all pretty easy to follow. Like none of the characters have really been surprising me. Like I think that they are. I wouldn't say like they're simple, but they're like illustrated in like bold lines, and I think it's easy to see, at least as far as Mycroft is narrating it, what they're going to do and what they're not going to do, and how they feel about basically any given thing at any given time, with like maybe one or two exceptions.
In my opinion, they're all illustrated with bold lines, but there is like some subtle shading under there that those bold lines are trying to hide.
Yeah, I think this comes through with some of them, but like, are you ever surprised when a character does something?
Huh. I mean, one of them, yes, every time, because there's no foreshadowing.
Oh, interesting. We'll have to dig into that.
If I am, I more just accept. Okay, this is just where the story's going, and I haven't really thought too much about it.
Okay, we can get into spoilers.
I will just rephrase my "the plot is not complex" comment, because the plot is complex, but easy. We'll go with it's easy to follow in terms of just the sequence of events in the story.
I do agree with that.
Minecraft has to make it easy for people who only want to work 20 hours a week. Quick recap. A bunch happens in this section of the book, but we can really shorten it. Jehovah makes a trip to the Vatican, where Faust and Carlyle observe pictures of things eating bananas. Jed declares war and its timeline. We see our first utopian enclaves. Martin Guildbreaker progresses his investigations. Thisbe Sinir languishes in jail twice. Occam's trial occurs. Utopia peace bonds the world. Cato finally joins them. Marion Cray tries to kill Mycroft again. The Olympics happen in Antarctic winter. Achilles chooses a side. And just after war begins, Utopia takes the first blow, taking Mycroft with it, though apparently not for long.
Wow, it's the second blow, right? Like, because Utopia did the first strike in a sense.
Not a break in peace, supposedly, according to Jehovah Epicurus Donatian Mason.
Yeah.
Oh, that he doesn't think the kidnappings were the start of the war.
Yeah, he says, this is peace.
Yeah.
And then Dominic is like, I must receive this revelation. Yes, this is peace.
Okay, can we talk about that? Because, like, it's a bit much, Dominic's, how his
Okay,
just
you
general...
could stop there. It's a bit much, Dominic. And
like, I'm generally very here for the over-the-topness of the series, but, like, the Dominic stuff's a little bit, I'm like, okay, this is...
You don't like his holiness, Dominic?
Like, we can tone it down a little bit on the, like, where he gets, like, literally starstruck every single time Jed enters the room.
my favorite thing is when he notices that Jed has a new outfit, and that just shakes him to the core.
Color. He's wearing color. Courting. Blue and gold. Oh my goodness.
I'm much less annoyed by Dominic in this book than I am in other books. And given both the inspirations of the series being the Enlightenment and the belief that Dominic has that Jed is a literal god, I think this is actually fair. I think it's a fair reaction to be like that anytime he shows. I think that's a rational reaction, honestly.
I got a question for y'all. Do you think Jed is actually a god? Sorry, I'll call him Tycoon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's much more believable for me for Jed to be a literal god than sets existing, or the flying cars, or anything else.
I am of the utopian mindset, of course. Jed is an alien.
But she's just a liar.
I don't know that we need to describe what Jed is by the term god. He's just an alien from another universe where things work very differently.
Oh, from another universe? Okay.
Yeah, that's what it's implied or said. I don't think he's a god. I just think he's a really smart person that has a level of charisma and intelligence and resourcefulness that is basically a superpower in the world.
And is also insane.
Him and his dead face and his dead voice.
Yeah.
It's waxy stillness.
And the guy who can't be moved. Oh no, someone's moving me. I'm gonna be out of commission for like an hour.
I've become unmoored in space and time. I will believe anything anyone tells me has happened.
Also a bit much, but
worst superpower ever. I think he's actually a god from another universe, but I want to believe that I want to read the story where he's just a crazy guy that everybody believes.
Oop.
I think it'd be fun to read.
I think if he's just the facts we know about his existence, they're so far outside of what is possible for humans. I don't think that clearly there's something special with him, and if he believes he's a god, I don't really find reason to doubt him.
Other than the fact that he was raised by Madame.
I mean, I think that was a handicap for him, if anything.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
I don't know. He has access to the best tutors and all the languages. Not all the languages, but he had 7 native tongues.
Still can't stick to English, though.
Useless.
I still don't similar to the discussions with Bridger, but with Jed, it feels extremely abstract in a way that I don't I don't understand why it matters, whether or not he is a god. Other than, I mean, I guess you could say that about any it matters to the extent that people believe in him and how that drives their actions. But I still don't understand
You don't understand why it matters if the upcoming ruler who's declared war on the entire world thinks he's a god or not?
Well, in that sense, yes.
A very, very important question to me.
Okay, I'm not articulating this well. It's similar to the Bridger stuff. It feels a little bit removed from everything else. So I'm just kind of I am just accepting right now, okay, he probably maybe is a god, but I don't really care. I don't really well, because it just feels very removed from everything else that's going on. Because everything else, and yes, I will use this word in regard. Everything else feels kind of grounded in its own logic, yeah, that's the reaction I was expecting.
My eyebrows are very high on my head right now. So
in its own logic, and the Jed and Bridger stuff does not to me.
I'm going to say the same thing when you're talking about Bridger. The thing about the gods coming and manifesting and being incarnations and whatnot are actually very central to the story being told here.
I completely agree. And you just don't want to engage in the divinity portions of this text.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, maybe it just I'll back off on it's not. I don't get why it's important. I'm just not as interested in that stuff.
I'm curious. Would you have found this as jarring if this was a fantasy series or marketed as a fantasy series?
Maybe, because I would almost think of it as probably because I still haven't seen anything. I haven't seen him
He hasn't used his god powers.
Yeah, now, and I get there was the whole dialogue of he's confined to his human body, as a contrast to Bridger, but.
And the vehicles of statecraft are his prostheses in order to grant him his customary omnipotence.
Yeah. When we were doing a lot of the deific theological stuff, it just seems in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, it's still the more worldly politics that are driving a lot of the decisions being made. And so that to me is the stuff that seems more central. And the God stuff is certainly informing people in a way that religion informs people in the real world, but it doesn't. Am I making any sense? Maybe not, but
how do you read his need for complete and unconditional surrenders of all of humanity?
well, yeah, I think that's not great, but
This is something that most religions demand of their worshippers in general, right? Or the big ones,
yes.
let's say.
The monotheistic ones, certainly.
Yeah.
All right, so maybe it's there isn't a structure around like his religion. I think
Mhm.
that's
Because it's illegal, right?
right. Yeah. So right, but it's like a big part of the book and what everyone is talking about. All the characters are talking about, but there isn't the structure to. Yeah. So I guess in that sense, like it might work a little better for me if it was like, okay, this is, I don't know.
Would it help for you if he performed miracles?
I think
Permission to move our topic to Book of the New Sun.
Yeah.
I feel like it's someone else talking. I feel like I'm talking myself in circles now.
I think that perhaps something that you're running into is that this may be conflicting with the genre expectations.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, let's circle back to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Because in a lot of quote science fiction, there's kind of an implicit assumption that gods don't exist, right? And
Yes.
even if they do, they don't manifest like this. They don't actually just like come down and walk around and interact with humans. So things like Dune don't do it.
Lord of Light.
Lord of Light, yeah, sure, yeah. Like all like a lot of them are saying, if gods do exist, we can explain them, and they are limited, and it's probably just a product of human perception or some kind of trickery or whatnot. But this doesn't seem to be the case for this world, and that might be conflicting with what you expect going into assuming that this is a science fiction story.
I think you kind of hit the nail on that with that. I said this, I think, in the Discord and stuff. I am just waiting, and on these episodes, I am just waiting for that twist to happen where it's like, oh well, this is really what's going on.
Jed was science the whole time.
Yeah, like that. That's basically what I'm like.
Bridger was science the whole time.
I would hate that.
That's what I have thought. The other part being maybe even the bigger part being that Mycroft lies about a lot of stuff, and so I'm constantly questioning the truth of what he's saying, especially when you have lines like other characters are literally saying things like, he's hallucinating half the time. Makes me inclined to not believe, like, is Jed actually a god? Like that type of stuff.
How do you feel about the prison wraiths?
Oh, I think they're just hallucinations that Mycroft is having.
Okay, you don't think that he can see into the world of spirits and the wraiths that have been trapped in incarcerations?
No, because I don't think, because like that's another, that seems like one of those things that the text just is kind of, it's there as a metaphor or something.
You don't think it's a power that Bridger gave him?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Are you saying that was what we're supposed to be thinking?
No, I'm just saying it's a possibility because there's so many possibilities in a text where Bridger exists. How
would you feel if the big reveal was Bridger was just science the whole time?
I would feel validated. Or vindicated.
I knew it.
A utopian U-beast.
Unless it was done very, 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 very well, I would absolutely hate that.
Same.
If it was like framed as literally just Mycroft misunderstanding everything and being deluded, I still wouldn't like it, but I would accept it better because, yeah, if you got an unreliable narrator, use it.
There's only one circumstance I'd accept it in, and it's if the series turned into like a really good time travel series.
Interesting.
And Bridger was from the future.
But I think this is so much more interesting as a look at, I don't know, semi-science fiction-y theology.
I think it's refreshing to have a story where the possibility of God is taken seriously. I think
like that too.
I think it's pretty rare in speculative fiction in general.
I think most fantasies, it's taken as a fact.
So, like often the gods that exist in fantasy, I think most of them are like Greek god level, right? They're very petty. They're basically humans with superpowers.
Yeah,
they're still gods.
Sure, but
lowercase g.
Yeah.
Sometimes
this is uppercase G.
Yes, the text lets you know every time.
or uppercase J as
yes, J or H or like he. Yeah.
The monotheistic, omnipotent, all of the
like a prime
omnis.
kind of thing.
Yeah, Jehovah is one of his names.
I will briefly bring up Hyperion as a counterexample to that, but
Well,
I'm not sure I agree. Well,
Okay.
actually, maybe with
let's-
the latter two books, but
yeah.
oh,
that was the worst part of those books. So
that's
It was, you know what? It was one of the least explained parts of those books.
it's weird because I'm able to accept that, but not this, and it's
Well, the majority of that is science all along.
yeah. Well, right. I think that's I think that's why.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This can be a topic that
We'll see.
Well, okay, this can be a topic that we can circle back to, and I may have more.
Let's move on to do you think Jehovah is fit for the offices he's trying to hold / does hold?
No.
No.
I
no.
think it's a very difficult question to answer.
If you move him 2 feet, he's like comatose. Like how are you supposed to rule like that?
Rapid movement of ruler resulting in complete disorientation in time, space, and fact is a noted weakness.
The last one being the most important, right?
Though possibly preventable. Just put him in a room where he can't be moved.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Plug him
Problem
into the
solved.
network.
I suppose everybody has their weaknesses. Seems like a big one to me, though.
I mean, his concept of filial piety also seems like a weakness to me.
A big one.
Mm-hmm.
Filial piety, yeah, that one. That whole discussion and all the ideas, and especially with a lot of the characters being Greek. I know these things are important. I live in a very filial pious society myself, and I'm said to be somewhat filial pious compared to a lot of other people, but still, the whole concept kind of makes me uncomfortable.
That was the stuff with, like, particularly with Mason and Will Jed, who will Jed support, or not, or who will Achilles wait.
It's the stuff about basically how Jed thinks.
Yeah.
And where he thinks his loyalty, allegiance, and duties lie.
Yeah.
And the ridiculous extremes to which he's willing to pursue those ideals.
Yeah, literally not willing to rule anything out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, clearly he's being set up as like some kind of benevolent dictator.
He is
Omnibenevolent.
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 He says he's benevolent, but the dude's declared war on the whole planet.
Utopia says, yeah, I know you are omnibenevolent, Jed. And he's like, you do not know me. And I'm like, yeah, if you're saying that, I don't think you do know him.
Yeah, so having him installed as the leader would require an immense leap of faith by everybody. I think that he would probably do a good job. Obviously, he's politically competent, right? But one of the problems, even if you accept that he would do a good job, one of the problems is that he's not immortal, right? What happens to the system that he creates when he dies? Does he set it up to be sustainable after he dies? I don't know.
We don't even know the system.
No, he doesn't know the system
Yeah,
either.
I don't think he does.
Yeah,
He has
that's
no
what I'm
proposal.
saying.
Yeah.
He has no proposal. He said he might destroy everything. He might create everything. He might make everybody one thing. He might make more hives, etc.
But don't worry, everybody. He's going to act.
He's finally going to act.
That's real reassuring by declaring war.
It's interesting that he came to that decision after having a dialogue with all of the religious people in the world.
That we don't get to see.
We don't get to see. Maybe Palmer doesn't feel like she would have done it justice. Maybe it would have just been like a whole book.
I mean, could you?
I wouldn't. No.
I definitely couldn't. I would have.
No.
I'm not even a good writer, but it's one of those things where I'm just like, nope.
It's easy to see where he gets that idea from, I think.
Which idea?
Like, not only does he require this kind of power, but like it's kind of due him.
His due. Yeah, I hate that. I hate that so much.
To be fair, he was raised literally like from his birth of people thinking that he was like he's it. Like that's like yeah. I don't know if they thought he was a god right away, but like certainly he was our special boy from like day one, and everyone knew that, and everyone told him that.
Yeah, so
He's like a set. He's like a god set.
a god set.
Darue Setset.
So, like, if he is a god, then it seems to me like it would be a good idea to give him this power. right? Because he's going to know
Yeah.
better than all these humans, no matter what,
Yeah.
basically.
That's
Right?
I don't think that follows from that.
No?
No. He seems remarkably unknowing of many aspects of humanity, and just to give him control over humanity, thinking that his other universe's divine morality is better than our own, and our own processes and our own self-determination, seems like a huge abdication of knowledge and what do they call it? The produce of civilization.
So how can we compare that if we don't know his? As goes back to my point, if we don't know like what his world is like, how can we know what his like moral compass is?
By judging what other people say it is. So like Martin, Martin trusts him like implicitly because he just decided that every
He makes
time that
better
he's made a
decisions.
he always makes better decisions. I've tried it over and over and over again. He always makes the better decision. Whether you want to believe that because it's Martin, and whether we have to believe it because Minecraft is telling us from Martin's POV, etc.
Sure.
And then Minecraft is saying the exact same thing, and then Minecraft's incredibly unreliable. I don't know. It's a tricky question.
And how every faction, even though he's declaring war on them and demanding their surrender, they're like, we'd still love you. We think you're amazing and great and wonderful.
It's a lot about faith. It's just like when Mason came up, it's like, hey, do you trust me? Because I need you to trust me in order to do this. He's like, I can't do it. But like at the same time, they want us to trust Mycroft, who is trusting Jed, and we want us to trust Martin, who is trusting Jed, etc., etc., etc.
Do you find yourself agreeing more with Achilles, saying, I cannot trust a son who dishonors such a father?
No, Achilles is stupid like that.
I agree.
Also, this Achilles,
Yeah.
this Achilles makes no sense. Like I know I talked about it last time, but like this is not Achilles.
What brought you? Rage.
That was awesome. I like that. Like, I mean, if we ever talk to Dr. Palmer, I want to ask her, like, why is this Achilles so, like, level-headed?
Why is this Achilles portrayed as being competent in anything but hand-to-hand combat?
He punched
Yeah.
Faust in the face after.
That was a good moment.
I love that.
He did have like Jed levels of like knowledge on how all of the hive leaders should be preparing for war.
Give me jeeps.
Joyce Faust is one of the best parts of this book.
Oh,
Joyce?
jeez.
Really?
Really?
She's not really in it that much. She?
I do not like her.
She's cloying over Ganymede.
Sorry, Felix.
Oh,
Felix.
Felix
oh,
Faust.
I was
Okay,
gonna say-
yes.
I
Yeah,
didn't think Madame was.
I like Felix.
Felix is
Every
like one of my favorite
single
characters.
scene that Felix shows up in, I love. Every single scene.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Like he shows up to Jed. He's like, "Oh, can I participate?" He's like, "You always talk. Shut up, Uncle. I promise I'll try really, really hard. Fine." He gets kicked out several times. Then he does the banana test with Carlisle, who I'm sure Ash loved to see this time, didn't you?
I was not bothered by Carlisle this time.
Those were the weirdest things I've ever read.
Carlisle is having a gender awakening, and Dominic is supporting their transition.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's what
It's
that
a very,
seems-
Wholesome.
it's definitely a way to put it.
right as Carlisle is bound, gagged, and shirtless. We get a description of a sticky and sweaty chest. Definitely, that's what the scene was doing.
I mean, it was very clearly a forced feminization scene.
Yeah.
And the fact that Dominic is going against Madame's wishes in that is important and notable.
Good for him.
And the fact that Carlisle seems to prefer dresses, or at least prefer to dress to some other imagined garment, is also important and notable. And the fact that they begin their recovery under perhaps the influence of things eating bananas.
Yeah, and Dominic's he I guess forced.
And that's the last we see of them.
Yeah,
Very phallic.
That's the only thing we see of him.
but and Dominic did support what Carlisle wanting to wear dresses, right? That was Dominic.
Demanded.
Yeah, Dominic is
yeah.
also the one who like messed up Carlisle so much.
It is his
Did
fault.
they, or are they fixing
Yes.
Carlisle?
No, they messed him up. Do you remember
Yeah.
that Senzera session they had? I do.
Oh, I do, but that's their technique. How can
Yeah,
you?
it's a terrible technique.
It's like
I
It's
think
like-
Carlisle was
You
like,
can judge this. It's a bad technique.
It's widely recognized as soul healing and transformative.
Carlisle is not a functional human
No.
at any point in the
Well,
story.
You could say he is like very early on, but that I would not disagree that kind of goes away fairly quickly. Yeah, I think Dominic also just gets off on all that stuff that he was doing
yeah,
to
it's very
Carlisle.
sexual.
Like, yeah.
Do you remember the part where Mycroft envies Carlisle for their facility with which they betray people?
It's impressive. I don't think I could do it. I wonder who they're gonna betray next. Probably Dominic. Dominic deserves it though.
Dominic does deserve it. That's
Mhm.
Dominic's whole thing. They're like, hey, I want to betray my god.
And the god knows it. Yeah.
Speaking of how awesome Felix is, that scene with the bananas and the reveal that like most of the people who are riding are not actually the cousins. I enjoyed that scene.
I also really love the scene where he shakes Huxley Mojave's hand and says, war. Oh, and I fully intend to squirm out of it.
Yeah, I don't believe him.
You don't believe that lying low is the only method to ensure your safety as a small hive?
I don't think Gordian is staying out of the war.
I probably can't.
Gonna work with Utopia probably.
He said they would squirm out of it.
I think Gordian and Utopia are the most fundamentally opposed hives.
I think Jehovah agrees with you.
Yeah, like I don't see how their goals are incompatible.
And he says, you don't know that I will choose you as the architects of my future. I might choose them. And he points at Gordian.
Yeah. And since they seem to have extensive knowledge of human psychology, I would be surprised if they weren't pulling the strings behind a lot of these things in the first place. I would be surprised if actually this whole story wasn't a shadow war between Utopians and Gordian just brought to light.
That I feel like
Interesting theory.
Yeah, because we haven't gotten we've probably gotten the least of the Gordians, relatively speaking, in terms of just characters, points of view, or not points of view, but characters' time spent exploring what they want.
We literally only get Felix.
And Felix is performantly insistent that he's just a voyeur the whole time. He's not putting his thumb on the scale.
Yeah.
Well, so explain what exactly do you think they want? Why are they so opposed to the Utopians in terms of what they want?
Because the Utopians want to expand to the stars, whereas the Gordians want to just download everybody to computers.
Oh, okay. Yep.
You need that processing medium from somewhere. Asteroid mining.
I don't think those things need to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah, agreed.
No? They're different goals for what humanity is supposed to be.
I agree that what they want is different, and what they're trying to achieve are different in the hives. But I don't think that just because your brain is uploaded to a computer means that you can't explore the stars.
Yeah, it could be a both and not necessarily just an either or situation.
Oh, you're suggesting like cyborgs of some kind?
Something like Ghost in the Shell.
I think they're just interested in creating their own reality.
I agree, and I think that's the real problem with the real disconnect. I'm just saying that you could actually be just inside a robot body.
It's a lot easier to explore the stars if you don't need life support.
Yeah,
that's true. But why would you want to?
Yeah, no, yeah, then that was Apollo's whole thing.
I would love a robot body.
But if you can just have a hedonistic paradise simulated for you, why would you bother with all of the hard work that Utopia does, right?
That was Apollo's whole thing, and that's where I see that being opposed in that particular way.
They do value hard work, which is why I'd never be a utopian.
Yeah, their oath of
no, they say that happiness is essential for your. It is a means, not an end.
Yes, everything. Yeah,
but it is essential. You must view it as an essential part of keeping a productive member of Utopia alive.
I feel like I would be constantly judged by the lack of work that lack of production that I'm doing.
I think you just don't believe in the compassion of others.
Speaking of this, there's a related scene which just again emphasizes how terrible the humanists are. Where the new servicer, the ninth anonymous, is telling us the story of how he became a servicer, and it was because he killed 3 people who tortured and killed his boss,
Bossib, yeah,
for fun,
for
so
sport.
He killed them for sport. So he killed them, and then because it was deemed unlikely that he would be able to work off, like match the productivity of
a Evoker physician and an architect, especially, yeah.
Okay, you're a servicer now. It's that's insane. That's so
and because they were all humanists, Romanova didn't get involved. That's all hive law.
Yeah, and
That's
it was
fascinating.
a hiccup in justice, I think it was called.
A hiccup in the law.
A hiccup in the law. Which, like, to me, like, I think the humanists have been deeply corrupt this entire time.
Also, their arrogance to say that they're conditioned for making somebody eligible to be a target of OS. Like, well, besides the literally they're excluding people based on secret backroom deals between hives, that they alone can determine who can quote unquote contribute to human achievement.
And no
And
humanist would ever
yes.
qualify for OS because
Yeah.
they all would have substantially contributed to human achievement.
Yeah.
But also the Mitsubishi because we made a political deal with them.
Yeah.
And Europe.
And in Europe. Yeah, in Europe.
Yes, the humans are just terrible.
They're making me dislike Vivian a lot because Vivian is now a humanist.
Apparently wanted to be one for a while.
Terrible. And Occam sucks. Sniper sucks.
Is this making anyone else want to read Ayn Rand?
No.
No.
I'm curious. Curious about Ayn Rand, but I'm not. This is bait.
They are the Ayn Rand family, I guess, yeah?
Yeah, actually, yes. That's not enough to seek her out right now, but
Someday.
yeah.
Let's talk about the trial.
Yeah.
Trial was awesome. I love.
Apparently, the ends always just. Apparently, the ends justify the means, no matter what.
I liked the comment, the Mason comments, like every time it's like the use
The right of sovereign powers to use lethal force is well established and requires no clarification.
That was really funny. There is a lot of humor in these books that isn't where the over the topness does really work, and that's one of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I very much like that refrain, and dislike the Gordian refrain of actions by OS after this point only prolonged the war and did not.
Mm-hmm. The amount of mental gymnastics to get to that point is basically it's almost like saying it's a sunk cost, and I'd love to see what their logic in that is.
Delaying the war is not a morally good action. Yeah,
right.
I'd love to know Gordian law, and I'd also love to know Utopian law, and I think everyone would love to know Masonic law.
Masonic, I want to see how these hives work. If we are supposed to form opinions about them, maybe we're not. I don't know. Maybe we're not supposed to have informed ideas about anybody, any character or faction, and we're supposed to insert it. But if we're supposed to have that, I need more data, Dr. Palmer.
I think we're supposed to have ideas about Imperium and secret societies. And my view of secret societies is not particularly glowing.
Yeah, I'm less of a fan of the secret society part of the Masons than I am of the Imperium.
You mean the ones that claim that they were behind everything that's ever happened in history ever?
All agendas are Mason's agenda.
Yeah.
Masons are bozos.
Cosplayers.
I think everyone in this world is a cosplayer.
I totally agree with you, Ash. Or at least the majority of people.
Yes.
Maybe we'll find some exceptions to that. But we certainly didn't find it in the Vatican.
Wait, sorry, can I ask a question?
Yep.
So we had a lot of criticisms for Jed earlier. I think I know Ash's answer, but on this war, would you still be on his side then?
Wait, what's my answer? Tell me my answer.
Well, I think you would be, because you think he's a god, and you said he's the best answer for humanity.
And dictators are good, according to Ash, right?
I think I've notably been pro-dictator whenever it's come up.
I know he's always been a bootlicker.
Yeah. No, I think that both sides suck here. I don't know which I would choose. If I was in this world, then I couldn't be with Jed, and I couldn't be with Sniper because Sniper sucks.
Sniper's seriously the worst.
I guess I would join the Gordians.
Yeah, that was my thought. Was neither side's good.
This feels like a false dichotomy to me.
That's fair.
How much do you agree with Croucher's anti-war stance with you think this world wants this to be your war, you selfish coward heroes, your Mason bawling over Alexandria getting scratched up, and you and Achilles fawning over him like smitten girls, and you're what we're supposed to die for?
That's kind of fair.
Do you think Cornell Mason is a good or overreacting emperor?
Definitely overreacting.
He's a good emperor. But certainly overreacting. What are you talking about?
Yeah, my criticism of him in the last episode still stand. Dude is just over the top. He thinks he is the most important person ever, except for his son, apparently. And he thinks that because he made some stupid vow that really shouldn't have been made in the first place, then he's dictated by his stupid words and his stupid contracts and like these stupid secret society BS.
And Kasala's like, who? You don't have friends? No, Cornell, you have friends. Stop pretending.
That was
that was good. He's also like because of that, he's by far the biggest warhawk out of like he's the main one that's like
next to Jed.
Well, yeah, Jed
and Sniper.
And Sniper, but like he was the one that like at least we spent the most time with actually planning out how he was gonna like prosecute the war.
Oh
earlier.
no, the Sanctum Sanctorum. Oh no.
Hey, Sniper does not qualify as a warhawk here. Sniper wants to kill one person.
That's fair. And they didn't when they had the opportunity to.
And they did not when they had the opportunity to. Exactly.
So I think that Cornell Mason is correct in what he's interpreting the role of an emperor to be. So I think if you're criticizing Cornell, what you're really criticizing is the structure of empires, which is fair enough. But
yeah, and I am. I also hate the Masons for that reason.
Yeah, so
and not only I hate their whole system. I think it's terrible. And I hate just how self-important they are. They don't need all this secrecy. They don't need like this stupid line where they could inherit their the last person's words and they can change it 3 times and nobody can go into the Sanctum Sanctorum. And it's just all so stupid.
It's fun.
It's so stupid.
It's fun though.
I don't think it's
It is fun. It is fun.
It's masturbatory.
Well, the whole series.
People like to LARP.
Their shtick is
order.
It's a kind of hearkening to traditionalism, and they're definitely the most conservative hive.
Yeah,
but I think that's something that
they speak Latin.
They speak Latin. Something that is a problem in this world is that a bunch of structures that were not perfect structures, but a bunch of these structures have been stripped away, and nothing has really replaced them. I think that people wanting something of those structures is why the Masons are the most popular, and why they seem to be the most successful hive right now.
Oh,
yep.
For sure.
So they're the ones that have the compelling stories, besides the Utopians and maybe the Gordians.
Hey. It depends on your yardstick. I mean, do you want people and money, or do you want land?
This goes back to our question from the other episode about...
Or do you want happy families?
Well, no one's optimizing for happy families. So
the cousins are supposed to have.
Well,
the cousins seem miserable.
The ones who are breaking up families.
The cousins seem miserable.
Cousins do seem miserable.
Like, maybe I would be more persuaded by the cousins if, like, they didn't seem both ineffectual and abjectly miserable.
I think that's a really fair criticism.
They just don't like people pointing out that they don't actually do anything beyond serve as doormats.
Friar Chrysala, the world's mom.
Keeps getting pushed around and lied to and betrayed and controlled.
Even within her own hive.
And that's the deal with 6 uncompromising men who all think that they're better than her.
Aren't they, though?
I didn't say that.
Hey, Cornell is perfectly willing to compromise. If the oath of office is returned to him, he will merely execute the ones who did it and erase all but one of their names from the record.
Yeah.
That's
so
fair.
merciful. Oh no, somebody read some words that somebody wrote down and locked away.
I think it's fair for him to be upset about like that. Like,
yeah, they stole our guild secrets.
Core of his legitimacy, and it's also quite impactful for how the Masons actually run, right?
But he's not upset that the Anonymous's name got stolen. He's not upset that the Gag Gene registry or the Sensei's records got stolen.
You can always make another Anonymous, right?
I don't think you can.
No?
No. You have to start over from the beginning.
Maybe I'd be more persuaded by this if the Anonymous had like any impact.
We just don't get to see it. We don't get to see the Anonymous's essays.
We don't even get to see anyone talking about the Anonymous's essays.
So this goes to like, I think we don't actually see the hives or people that aren't ruling the hives.
Why do you think we don't see any anonymous essays?
Because Ada Palmer doesn't feel qualified to write them.
Okay. I will rephrase this then. Why do you think we don't see any anonymous essays after the deposing of Brody DeLupa?
So we actually get this in after the deposing Brody DeLupa. We know why Mycroft wasn't, or we get it stated, he just wasn't doing it, so the office passed to this other servicer guy.
We get that that's the reason why it passed when Mycroft's history was published.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Mycroft just doesn't want to pump themselves up and give us anything other than recommended by Anonymous in their history that's written by them.
I think that maybe Mycroft would be concerned about infecting the world with his violence.
I think they're just trying to be humble in that performative Mycroft way.
Yeah, very performative.
Yeah, performative, being the operative word there.
Okay.
Thisbe sucks?
Yeah.
Thisbe does suck.
Thisbe does suck, but she gave us some of the best chapters in the book.
I love that chapter.
That was a good chapter.
What, the one where both of Mycroft goes into predator mode?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. I love that so much.
I will say that is one thing that I was cool about. Cool is not the right word, but like interesting about the book is we finally get to see Mycroft like be unhinged.
He's been pretty unhinged like since we
okay.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. He definitely goes on the deep end.
Yes.
So you like that his editor stopped editing so much?
Yeah.
And the editor 9A says that one of the reasons that they do it is because it helps them remember how unhinged Mycroft had become by the end. And do you think that that is a good reason or a bad one?
Not edit him as much.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to answer because I don't like all the editing that they're editing anyway. I mean, it's just another form of censorship and
more prison rates.
Yes, please give it to me.
I appreciate the translation of Latin.
I also appreciate the translation of Latin.
Yeah, give me everything. I mean, I don't.
Though I have heard some criticism of some of these specific translations.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So why did we need the entirety of the Latin text that we get, and why did, instead of just having it signified by a different punctuation mark, like
because it's cool,
so you can understand the bias of the translator.
Okay,
are you asking why we were given all the Latin?
Yeah, basically.
Well, because this is official business from Cornell to his son, right? It's really, really important. It's really important that they do it in Latin, and it's their language that they speak to each other. It's written by Mycroft, who says he's not going to translate the Latin. And we're only given the translations after the fact, which usually they don't take anything out. They just add to it, right? Especially with translations. It's the established part.
Yeah, okay. That's a good point as far as Mycroft saying he wouldn't translate them. Okay. All right, that's fine. That works.
Yeah.
I think I successfully called that Achilles would side with Cornell. Great.
I believe you
Good
did.
job, Achilles.
Our warrior sides with the biggest warhawk.
Do you think it's asking for it?
Asking for what?
As Felix Faust says, there is such a thing as asking for it.
That deserves a punch.
I love the scene where they decide to go sacrifice a bull together. That was sweet.
It was so Roman or Greek.
It was also so romantic.
Terrible.
I mean, Achilles would definitely be a better lover than Ganymede.
Sure. Yeah.
Thinking of Cornell,
absolutely, because Ganymede is toxic.
Ganymede is it's terrible. I hate Ganymede.
I believe they would have technical proficiency, but just toxic.
And like no actual heart, you know?
I don't know. Can you pretend that like maybe you can cosplay as Glacial Spring Water and then Ganymede will appreciate you?
Oh God.
I want to talk about the chapter where Cato gets taken away, and I loved it.
The Race for Cato Weeks booth?
That was a very cool chapter.
That was
one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I reread it 3 times.
Yeah.
that ending is just so good.
Yeah, that's one of the moments that really worked for me.
Yeah.
The description with all of the paper stuff that he made. Even I don't know if anybody else thought this, but
the throne of paper.
They refer to Madame as Joyce, and when I see Joyce, I think James Joyce. And then shortly after saying Joyce Faust, there's an entire long list of things that Mycroft lists.
Oh yes,
ending with the Atlanta. No, it was actually before. It was the chapter before, wasn't it? But I was just saying it reminded me of James Joyce, and he did that a lot in Ulysses, for example. and I appreciate it. I noticed what you're doing there, Dr. Palmer.
There is some subtle humor in here, and I dig it. Like the Felix Faust speaking soothing German to his his guards.
That was funny.
That's good.
I do assume that such a thing exists. I could not recognize it.
I think it's been there's some actual data to back up the notion that German is like the most aggressive language.
I believe I've seen that data.
Yeah.
I think it's about time that we finally get to the what do they call it? The most objectionable acts of Utopia.
Oh yeah.
The Utopia peace bonding constellation and their actions. Did they do the right thing?
Yes.
Is it justified?
Yes.
Is it better or worse than what OS has done?
Much better.
Better, yeah.
Oh, there we go. That was easy.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Like this is not even a moral quandary at all. This is just the hives are upset about it because their sovereignty has been violated.
Because they lose their nukes. Yeah, well, that
Yeah.
too, yeah.
Even with that incredibly easy moral calculus, do you think they did the right thing?
Yes.
Yes. They're taking
Okay.
nukes off the table, and that's...
I think that the humanists would have nuked everyone out of spite. And I think it's very telling that they had, it seems, the most facilities of mass destruction out there. Like Briar Crystal is like, you got rid of the hospital that could have been retrofitted, I guess. And then they're like the Vivian's just like listing off like facility after facility. It's like clearly terrible things going on here.
Look, there's a lot in a hospital that you can repurpose to make weapons. A lot.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Say what you want about hostages and hostage taking. It has been a proven way of keeping peace. Not always, but often in a lot of cultures.
Yep. Oh yeah,
Yep.
you know it from the Japanese side of things, I imagine, eh?
Long history of taking hostages.
No thinking thing has been unmade. It's certainly a lot better than OS's idea, which would probably be just to crash them all in the cars.
Yeah,
Just a bunch of car crashes.
OS is the worst.
but apparently legal.
Yeah.
or the going forward legal.
Totally legal. That's an insane ruling.
Huh?
Honestly, the
The Alliance didn't have laws forbidding it.
looking through how they arrived to that ruling, it made sense to me.
It did. It did. Their legal system is so stupid.
Yes.
Basically, we've already it's stopping doing the bad thing would be proportionally worse than not stopping doing the bad thing.
The biggest affront that Utopia peace bonding does to the other hives is prove to them how broken their law code is and how you can just pay in recompense for basically any crime.
Weregild.
Yep.
We're a geld.
Like, they're like, it's in our law. It's happened many times before. We're just obligated to pay you. Here's the estimates given data from past cases.
Yeah. And they do it in terms of like their patents and whatnot, which is a pretty big power trade for them, and actual space elevators as well.
That was a really good scene.
Look, they have a lot of the world's wealth, and they just spent a big chunk of it.
I was thinking recently while reading this that if I were actually ever transported into this world and I, like, as I live now experiencing what they do, I would think that they're all stupid. Because, I mean, we all agreed on episode 1 that, like, this is basically better than what we have by a large margin. Sure, they got a lot of problems. We talked about them in detail. I don't like the sensei, I don't like the immense amount of censorship, etc., etc. And yet at the same time, they do have peace, and everyone working 20 hours a week. It's just better than it is now. And I was thinking, if I were actually transported there, I would just think they're all stupid and that they should appreciate what they have.
It does seem like the only people who are food insecure in this universe are the surfacers.
Oh, there's a terrible system.
On that note, I'm curious if we're going to get more about seeing the Catholic, the reservations, like that, or some food insecure people there on some of those spaces, but which I'd be curious to learn more about. I'm glad we got to see Rome and the Catholics.
All in black frame.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
The
Black Frame Project, which reconstructs monuments from
Oh,
before
yeah.
the church
Yes.
wars, from
Yeah.
before nukes wiped out large parts of the map.
Yeah, that was
I liked how when they rebuilt, they made 2 Vaticans. They made one for tourists and one for priests.
It's kind of funny.
If you ever have a chance to visit the Vatican, I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Agreed.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Renaissance Europe made some of just like the best structures humanity has ever created, right?
Yeah.
I was in awe. I can't put it into words. I'm not good with words in the first place, but I honestly can't put into words how moved I was just seeing everything.
It's one of the most intense concentrations of artistry in the world.
Yeah. Seems like it.
And it's a shame that apparently in the Terra Ignota world, it got nuked out of existence.
Nice that they were able to rebuild it so easily, though. And I guess haven't like I don't know. I don't have a strong sense of the architecture in this world.
I wonder if they were able to rebuild the secret archives.
Yeah, no, you can't do that. And oh yeah, the Sanctum Sanctorum archives are all dead as well, eh?
Yep. Well, we don't know if they're dead, but we do know that they were strewn around the floor.
I think didn't one of the characters say that they were burned?
Some, I think, but definitely not all.
We know that this attack wasn't the Utopians, which is
Libricide.
Yeah.
Unless it was rogue Utopians and their whole like it's to throw us off the scent.
Yeah.
Maybe they were fake burned books and the real copies survive on Luna City.
It's all Griffin cloth.
Yeah.
Griffin cloth also seems just magic, by the way.
Griffin cloth is actually one of the closest things to reality in this series.
Yeah. I guess that's true.
This is like just a projection with a like supercomputer.
Hey man, humans exist.
Oh what?
So humans exist.
Are these people human? I don't know. Bridger might have changed them all.
It's a whole.
Bridger did it.
Maybe Bridger thought that all of the people in the world were philosophical zombies and therefore made it true.
That's why. Okay. Well, now I can't complain about us not getting any ordinary people.
We have 2 excuses for everything in this book. Mycroft is lying, or Bridger did it.
Yeah, that's true. And it's difficult to see which one is more all-encompassing. Maybe it's Bridger did it. I don't know.
Bridger did it is definitely the more all-encompassing.
Well, Mycroft could just be lying about Bridger.
No, because
yes.
But we get parts of the book that are not written by Mycroft. They're written by 9A and Hobbes.
How do we know that? Written by Hobbes, yeah.
Yeah.
He manifested.
And Apollo.
I got a question.
Yeah. Okay. That's the Apollo thing. So that's what I'm guessing is I'm interpreting that as a flat out hallucination because the Hobbes stuff is in italics. So like that's the text is saying, okay, this is not like this is I don't know happening in Mycroft's head or something. And the Apollo stuff is not, but like no one is reacting to like it's in the text as if Apollo were just in those scenes, but
yes,
no one else is reacting to Apollo being there. So I'm like, oh, this would be kind of a big deal. To like
kind of a big deal.
Like if he were just there and Mason wasn't like reacting to him being there. So yeah, that one in particular, I think he's just a figment of Mycroft's imagination.
But we know that Apollo has a magical coat of invisibility, and maybe they can make themselves visible only to Mycroft.
Yeah, but doesn't Saladin has the coat?
Saladin might have the first prototype. Maybe Apollo has a
second.
What else could it be? Like, I see only 2 possibilities.
Only 2? Wow, such a limited mind.
It's like a literary device created by Mycroft, or Mycroft just going crazy and hallucinating.
I think it's both, kind of.
I think it's Mycroft using his literary device and drawing specifically from the Iliad for it.
I mean, I completely agree with that, but I'm going to put forward that when Bridger committed suicide, they also revived Apollo Mojave, that they share the same soul, and that on Luna City, Apollo woke up and was in a new coat fashioned out of nothing at the exact same time that Achilles Mojave was created, and that they together have formed a war plan which involves the gentle insanity induction in Mycroft Canner.
Sure. Okay.
That's no less believable than like some of the actual conspiracies in this book. No less believable than like 6 people ruled the world.
I mean, also Apollo has to make sure that they're presented correctly in Mycroft's Chronicle.
Is anyone else kind of surprised with the lack of Jesus in this book?
Yeah, well, we especially consider it, or at least you mean like direct references to Jesus.
He was directly
Yeah.
referenced as like, this is why I chose the Vatican, because maybe my peer incarnated themselves and experimented, and that's how they understand humanity. And that they did that before trying it on me.
Yeah, that's Jed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
in book 1 and 2, it's heavily censored, right? And this one's supposed to be the uncensored version that's sent to the future, and people in the future could actually read it. So it's all fine, right?
Except for Damnato Memoriae.
Yeah, except for that one. Like that also adds a very interesting wrinkle into the story that I like.
The Damnato Memoriae seems a bit dramatic, or at least Mycroft's monologue about it was a bit overdramatic.
Isn't it kind of real? Like, didn't that
I
happen
love
once?
Mycrofts. Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a hell of a punishment.
But is
Yeah.
it real that it doomed your soul in Elysium from maintaining
Probably
its
not.
reality? That's more debatable.
Yeah.
Well, so my point is, like, Mycroft obviously knows about the Christian God and the story of Jesus, and people in the universe obviously know about all this. And based on what Mycroft has been reading and all of his influences, you'd think it would come up a lot more often, especially in this book that's supposedly not censored.
No, I'm with you because especially given how many other literary references and like literary and like religious, I guess is complicated, but like the other extra textual references that are brought in, that given we have two versions of a Christ figure, that's not directly referenced more often.
The text has to be non-proselytory, right?
This one does too?
This one does not have
Yeah,
to be non-proselytory.
Yeah, that's what you don't need to talk about Jesus. I'm talking about Jesus right now. I'm not being proselytory.
But I mean, you're not really allowed to talk like in their world. Proselytory is like mentioning religion.
Okay,
Right.
that's fair.
Yeah. No,
Well, like I just finished reading Leviathan a few days ago. I really rushed through the last 200 pages because it was like, I think a couple episodes back, Kip was talking about how, I think Kip and Ash were talking about how religious it was. I'm like, really? It didn't seem like that to me. And then I get to the 50% mark. And it's nothing but religion for the last half of the book, and it's like it's a lot of religion. As much as he talks about Hobbes, you think maybe Hobbes would bring it up a couple times at least, but he doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. I maintain that I'm more surprised that Napoleon hasn't come up yet than Jesus. But
Jesus is a lot more important than Napoleon, man.
Sun Gamer has another question. Did you cry during the Olympics? And if so, which bit?
no,
I did not cry.
No, I didn't know I was supposed to.
Yeah, I didn't my eyes kind of glazed over the description, and I just wanted to move on.
I liked it. I thought it was emotional. I liked the Olympics, but yeah, no, not anywhere near crying. It's kind of melancholy.
I like the ice gels.
Yeah, the gels are cool. I like all the entrances to the city, and I like the Mars, and I like the city. I like the whole event. It was cool. But yeah, no. I'm the crier, and that didn't move me at all.
No, Esperanza City's super cool, and the whole how they're doing the Olympics, and there were a lot of interesting things around it. But yeah, the actual similarly a crier, and this didn't quite do it for me.
You weren't so moved by Mycroft to cry over the fireworks on Mars?
Oh, I did like that we got since it's 9A. I do like that we got a perspective of Mycroft that was not in Mycroft's head.
Yeah.
If you're listening, son, please tell us why you cried, because honestly, it's hard for me.
I can see why Sun cried.
Could you explain? Because I don't get it.
So it's just like an emotional kind of dramatic moment, right? Like these people are going to be killing each other soon. It's a shame that this is happening. It feels kind of very tragic. The Utopians are making this grand gesture on Mars. They're burning away decades of work.
Udis is like, I don't know how much this terraforming project was set back by these fireworks. I just know that it made Mycroft cry, and so I will cry too. Even a minute is too much.
Yeah, and there's like a celebration of the human spirit, and there's the moment where Jed and Sniper both make their gestures to one another, and in good faith. And the Olympics opening ceremonies are, I think they can often be quite moving, and it's just like a celebration of a lot of what is good about humanity. In the 2012 London Olympics, there was a good speech by Stephen Hawking about, that was Paralympics, about how in the face of disability, there's always something you can do and succeed at and whatnot. So it's I guess it
No,
depends on how
you
much.
explained it very well, and it made me realize why I didn't cry. I always cry from character moments in books, rarely about their circumstances, but it's because I'm empathizing with a certain character in the book or a group of characters. I don't really empathize with any of the characters of the story.
Yeah, that's usually
Or Bridger.
yeah. I'm usually similar where it's the character moments and like character realizations are like a bit or stuff like that, which is a big thing for me.
Then a character moment that made me cry in the Olympic section was Sniper and the aftermath of their captivity.
Mm.
And just the psychological effects and after effects of
Because they didn't die. Yeah, I can get that.
well, because they were silent, they would not respond to commands. They would run around in their like room until they were physically exhausted. How they would have these bouts of mania and depression and just like clear trauma responses, and how their Olympics team tried to get them back on their feet in 3 days.
So basically, everything that they deserved made you cry.
They did not
Deserve is a very tricky word.
Loaded
to use.
term.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone deserves that kind of torture. No.
Yeah. I think it was a great illustration of kind of psychological sophistication you would have to have in order to so effectively break down this person. I wonder what faction in the story could muster such a level of expertise.
Are you saying the cousins did it?
I'm saying the Gordians did it.
Oh, not well, I guess not like a humanist extremist faction.
I don't think the humanists are good at anything.
Hey, they did OS for like hundreds of years.
They killed JEDD Mason.
I didn't believe that. Sorry, that's a Bridger did it kind of thing.
It's actually true that the humanist government at no point commanded the death of JEDD Mason. That was purely a sniper thing.
Yeah, that's true.
It was the last section, but I love the line Jed says where he's like, "It didn't work the first time."
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Jed's point of view, another miracle might resurrect them if they get killed a second time. Like, really?
Who's to say he's wrong? I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting thing about Jed referring to the god of this universe exclusively with masculine pronouns.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah. I never thought about it, but yeah.
I don't like it. Yeah.
Why is that?
To me, it's not really an example of omnibenevolence. It's an example of the tainting of 18th century ideals.
The impact of Joyce's upbringing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you actually believe him when he says he's omnibenevolent, though? Benevolent?
No, obviously not. I just use that as a piece of evidence why he's not.
Oh, okay.
So the person who stabbed Mycroft was totally the Jed's chef, right?
Chagatai?
Yeah.
We get the answer, right?
We do?
Yeah, we get the answer.
Do we?
Through the 18th trap. In the Race for Kato Weesmith.
Oh, it was Cray.
It was Marion Cray all along.
Cray, yeah.
I love that part so much.
And that was what I was talking about with no foreshadowing. Other than the sausage is European.
I was assuming that there was more there that was like, oh, this is a fake out of some kind, but
yeah, because it's like it's
All
built as like Mycroft builds it up as this not plot breaking, but this like big implications for who this could be, which I guess there
still could be.
And it was a kitchen knife that stabbed Mycroft, and it was a dispassionate thing, and so it must have been someone who was close, but not like didn't have a personal reason to care about Mycroft. Like it's got to be Chagatai, right?
I mean, Cray works too.
No,
Cray sucks.
Cray
like that.
Really bad.
I don't like Cray. I don't like
Who
the Count of
does?
Monte Cristo.
Does anyone like Cray? I mean,
maybe Red. I don't know.
I don't think you're supposed to like Cray.
And he's also basically just another Madame puppet. But yes, he still does do all those things.
Narratively speaking, what purpose do you think Cray serves?
Like an illustration of how human nature produces bad actors that will not engage in politics in the spirit that it's intended to or should be engaged in. And they mess up the whole system because of it. And no system is really resilient to bad actors.
Okay, not philosophically or politically speaking, narratively speaking. What do you think their point is?
Catalyzing the plot.
Well, yeah, they're pretty important to the plot, actually.
Yeah, reacting to things and giving people something to react to.
Being the mustache twirling villain who shows up, does something terrible, and then runs away.
Yeah, the Dr. Claw kind of thing.
Exactly.
Or
Exactly.
Skeletor.
Okay, well, that reveal beside, I love the part where we get Martin's POV for a while. He goes through all of these tests that he
Yes.
sets up.
Oh, that was
traps.
super cool.
And then at the least expected moment, at least for me, suddenly Minecraft's like, oh no, I'm in a trap. And he finds out that he was set up in a trap, and then the trap actually works, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I really like Martin.
Martin's one of the better characters.
Yeah, that whole section was very cool.
Arranging plausible defeat scenario.
I think Martin's my favorite character, actually.
He's effective.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's effective. He doesn't like draw attention to himself. He just wants to do his job.
Probably the only one in the story that isn't trying to draw attention to himself.
Yeah, like
Are we talking about
he's-
characters that we actually like?
Yeah.
I kind of like Kato.
I love Kato.
Oh yeah, Kato's
He gets to be-
he's not in the plot very much.
No,
No.
he's not.
No.
But I think he might be my favorite.
And he finally gets to be a utopian.
Tellingly, we
Yeah.
get that section of Kato without sound. It's just a silent image of him becoming a utopian.
Yeah, that was
And
really
I love
good.
that for him.
Yeah.
Love that
I
for
do
him.
too. It's a great moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crying Kato.
I would like it more if the Utopians, the junior science squad that he mentored paraded the heads of all of OS in front of him, so he could know that he's finally free from these terrible people.
I think Kato's too kind a person to wish that.
Yeah, so that's why they did it for him. You know, like, oh, we know about what you had to go through, Kato. Here, we made Sniper get eaten alive by ants.
I think that would still make Kato sad. I think Kato's too good a person to be happy about the demise of their Boschmates.
Yeah.
I mean, he did help murder lots and lots of people.
Yeah, and tried to kill himself over and over
Because of
again.
it, yeah, because of it. He would still be like, oh, well, why did you kill Sniper? Like, oh, but like, I really have this fond memory of when Akam and I went into the, I don't know.
When rafting.
I did, yeah, like,
Sniper's holding a knife to my back.
Yeah.
Oh, Sniper.
yeah, oh, I don't think I have any good memories with this bee, but I don't know, she was also there.
That revealed that his former students were the ones like freeing him. That got me a lot closer to tears than anything else.
That was great.
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
agree.
that moment was the closest I think I got to tears in the book. Didn't quite get me there, but
I want to be one of them. If I can be one of the characters in this book, I want to be one of them.
Yeah. Another character I like is Papa.
Papa's great.
yeah, also very effective.
I think it was a funny moment when we learned that Papa is female. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
That
like
Papa
that.
has breasts. Yeah.
Surprisingly full breasts, as my note says.
Well, given Papa's age, yes. I'm glad to hear that Papa doesn't look their age. It's
I think it casts Papa's relationship to Mycroft in less of a Javert versus Jean Valjean and more of like a disappointed mother.
Storm, what character like?
I need to think on that. No, not because a lot of them are not good, but
how do you feel about Huxley?
Huxley, I like Huxley's cool. A lot of the Utopians are cool. Yeah, Huxley would be up there for me in terms of characters that I like.
Yep.
Like obviously the Utopians, well, they're certainly making moves now, but 9A seems interesting.
This Mycroft minder.
I'll circle back on this, but yeah, I guess Huxley would be the one that if I had to choose.
I mean, Huxley, very much like Martin, is just like a person trying to do their job.
Yeah.
I don't care about the spotlight. You guys could all play like your ridiculous drama. I'm just going to tell you what's happening, and I'm going to leave the plot.
I thought it was cool that he was in the Rescue Kato operation with his lion. That was I like that.
Yes. I want a lion. I want a black lion. And I like how Mycroft feels probably most comfortable that they've ever been when they're around that lion.
Yeah.
Some symbolism there. Do you have a favorite or characters that?
It's Kato. It's Kato.
Oh.
Yeah.
We could compile a list of like the top 15 to 20 worst characters in the series. Like most detestable.
Like, how many people
Well-
has Kato killed, but I still love them?
So the first 10 are probably going to be humanists, and then
And then there's room for everyone else.
I can't make my list until we finish perhaps the stars.
Yeah, we should do a list like that though. Maybe a draft.
most detestable Terra Ignota characters.
Terra Ignota tier ranking of how terrible the characters are.
Oh, tier rankings are good. Yeah.
Those get traction on sites. People love a tier
Well,
list.
so to make that interesting, we would have to like limit the number of people that could be in a given tier, because otherwise there'd be a lot of
Be
people.
like all S.
Yeah, all S or A. Yeah.
We have to carefully define our tiers.
Tier lists are fun, but drafting, we could get our listeners to choose who had the best draft,
Okay,
and there's a winner.
that works too.
So what it would be like? Who has the most detestable list of people? Is that?
Yeah. Who has the
Yeah.
best, worst list?
Wow, a first pick really gets a.
Is it going to be Madame? Is it going to be?
It's gonna be
Megan
choice,
Frey?
right?
It's got to be
It's
Madame, I
enjoy.
think. Yeah, because it's the most far-reaching and.
No one else here runs a rape institution.
And that's just the start. Like,
A lot of participants though.
And
like that's
I am wholeheartedly in solidarity with that Catholic priest who tried to kill her.
Yeah. Yeah. Why?
which also it's also interesting that it's the Catholic priest that's trying to commit murder. But yeah,
Love that.
Why has Madame not been assassinated yet? Given how terrible security is in this world.
She's got a really powerful son.
Yep, and paramours and husband.
she wasn't really in this book that much.
But
She was not.
Yeah, utopians.
Yay, utopians.
Jed got assassinated.
Yeah, it's a good
But he
point.
hasn't been
Like,
assassinated again.
well, now that they because they were hostage, but now that they've
Jed got assassinated back when Sniper was like given a free pass by every security institution in the world.
yeah.
Oh, sniper rifle? On brand for you, I guess, Sniper. Have fun with that pentathlon you're running in the city.
Okay, is this the best use of the Olympic piece ever?
I don't know. It just gives everyone more opportunity to prepare for war. It seems terrible to me. But
But Utopia fixed that.
they fixed the weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Or the Harbingers, I guess, which,
The most important part.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Without that, I do believe that it could have been terrible. But Utopia acted.
I was going to go back and just say that you could explain away the Utopians not assassinating Madame before, but she like had them hostage. But now that they've betrayed her, because they have
Why would they
invisibility
just kill her
for
on the way out?
yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah.
God, imagine if they did that.
But if who
But
did?
Utopia doesn't kill.
What if they just injected her with the dementia virus? You know, fast acting.
Maybe they did.
It's a good question. I mean, and especially now that they've betrayed her, it's like all of that's on the table. I guess that was I like that moment a lot when they I forget how they phrased it, but
No, the Utopia's whole thing is commit the full produce of my labors to our collective effort to redirect the path of human life away from death and towards the stars.
I mean,
Away from death. It's very important to them.
can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs, right?
That is anti-utopian propaganda, and I will not stand for it.
Jed was persuaded.
it is interesting because that's kind of a whole like there's nothing worse than death philosophy, which is I don't know. I like that. I'd be curious to hear.
Do you think that Apollo Mojave failed his own morals by choosing Sen and Earth over Mars?
Yeah, or like wasn't idealistic enough.
Yeah.
Kind of, I guess.
Yeah, you could make that argument.
Utopians are
Yes.
still human.
I think it's an easy argument to make,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
I think it's an argument that Mycroft explicitly makes, and I kind of agree with it.
Their next
Yeah.
project is going to be engineering empathy out of the human race.
Oh, that'd be so nice right now.
First, cover everyone's eyes and make expressions all digital and optional.
Yeah.
I just want to say how fun it is that in a very Homer-esque story that there is a literal character named Anonymous, and they take on the role of Anonymous.
But he's not one-eyed.
Yet. I think it's fun too.
We talked about this last time.
I think for the Anonymous to work for me,
Does a visor count as one eye?
no. they should always be required to like put out one of their eyes and then still maintain still be actually disguised as the anonymous. I think that would be much more interesting for the hide and seek game that people play.
I think it's BS that the anonymous just guessed, oh, you probably know who the anonymous is.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I bet you're the next anonymous.
The whole system for choosing a successor is absolutely horrible.
Basically, the game of hide and seek that gives you, used to give you authority over the cousins, and now
is it worth being anonymous if you can't do that anymore?
Yeah, right.
I think there's probably no link between being able to figure out ARGs and being effective political commentators.
I agree.
Basically, yeah, agreed. Because basically, it's how good are you at deduction, isn't it?
Or just guessing.
Yeah.
You know? What's to stop someone from going up to, anyone on the street and be like, you're the anonymous? And then eventually the anonymous is like, oh, you got me.
Just serial guessing everyone who goes into Romanova.
Yeah.
It's we're going to bend that law. Then maybe the anonymous would find out because, they're so well informed and they would just avoid that person forevermore.
But there would be clearly many of these people, right?
Well, maybe there's a tracker program that does it for them so they don't need to put much effort into it.
It's like another OS, but it exclusively just goes redirecting cars away from whoever's the anonymous.
Sorry, this person has accused 20 people of being the anonymous in the last decade. We can't have them going near the actual one.
They're going to have a little accident.
They're just going to be unable to find the censor's office for a while.
Back to actually OS and OS being terrible. So the metric they use is, okay, the person can't significantly contribute to human progress. Is human progress in the humanist sense mostly just profits?
No, I think it's also Olympic records.
It's whatever they deem important, which not in the same way that utopians do, certainly.
It's definitely not in the same way the cousins do. It's was this person nice to their family? Irrelevant.
How many children did they raise? And did they turn them into a set or not?
Yeah. Or was this person a valued member of their community? I don't think humans care about that.
Oh, no. No, it's...
I think they would burn down orphanages.
Yeah, that part...
I don't like the humanist thing of the welcoming hall where they have to put all of their achievements and try and make that area as impressive as possible. I kind of hate that.
Absurd. Yeah, because it's basically it's all a big shoe measuring contest.
I think that actually what the humanist hive probably is for everybody that we haven't seen so far, it's just a bunch of middle managers with 17 titles,
100%. 100%.
This is cruel.
I think this is accurate. I think this is what actually would happen with the humanists. Because it's all about perception of achievement.
Yeah, competition. Right? Yeah.
Oh, God, I don't want to imagine humanist LinkedIn.
Right. And they're all just speaking the most inane corporate lingo to each other. That's their actual dialect. It's not Spanish at all.
Ugh.
I think this is a persuasive argument.
Can you present yourself as being more important or having achieved more than the person next to you?
Yeah. And how would they even exist as a hive? Why would anybody want to be the grunt?
Maybe the hiccup in humanist law was, hey, I murdered a girl and isn't it cool that I got away with it? That increases my value to the humanist hive. Right.
Yeah, I would totally believe that. A big deal is made about murder in this world, right? But then we get the perspectives, that these people literally tortured and killed a child with no repercussions. This is fine by utopian standards, I guess. So how nonviolent is the world really?
All the involved people were humanists, or actually, we don't know if the youngest Bossib was a minor or not.
That's true. So they probably weren't.
Yeah, because it was all resolved in humanist law.
Or the Bossib could have just taken the humanist competency exam at age 13 or something.
Is there an age limit to when you can take it the first time?
There is not, no.
Or age 4, I guess. Yeah. No,
you just have to pass it. And that's how they know you're an adult.
Which is fair. I think that's a better system than... the downside is you would have a lot of people that
you get Mycrofts. You get Mycroft pressure.
You get Mycroft pressure. Well, that's the hive system. That's picking the hive system, right?
I'd be curious to see what it questions, because you could if it's a test, you could have people that are quote unquote like good test takers, so they could be very intelligent but not like emotionally mature, which like would also be
I imagine the Brillist had a lot of input on the test.
Yeah, I would imagine that it's not just an IQ test.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it. I think it is, but
Ideally, it'd be emotional maturity, psychological maturity,
Yeah.
intellectual maturity, etc.
I think that in our world, you would find a lot of people just stay minors until they die. Wonder what percentage of the people in Terra Ignota are that.
The adulthood competency exam. Why I will wait. Yeah. That was Lorelei Cook's essay, right?
speaking of awful people, like
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
to know why more people don't stay children, and also what happens to the people who are like I don't know, mentally deficient
We haven't seen any in the story. I think they're exterminated.
or like emotionally deficient.
Maybe they stay minors, just like all the AIs stay minors.
it was kind of interesting that they had thought of that before there was that like Ubeast that went haywire. That they had like all at least like preemptively thought through that scenario to some extent.
Yeah. I mean, as a minor, you can be gray law or white law, and both of those seem to be fairly fine law codes. Minus the whole weregild thing.
I think the white laws are obnoxious, but
It's your option. You can join or renounce the white laws as you wish.
yeah, I would definitely renounce them. Renounce them
Yeah,
all.
there's no way I would be joining white law. No way.
No, it's
Not even if I get to be on a cool floating ship. No.
I think that there's probably 20 of them in
I was yeah, I'm like in some ways Mr. Rule follower, and that's too much.
like he would have them like showing up at parties and like talking about how they weren't a white law and then now they're a white law and this has really changed their whole perspective and they like feel cleansed and their soul has been scrubbed clean.
That's like a born again Christian thing vibes is what I'm getting from that.
It's
like
very religious.
Yeah.
I would say like a CrossFit kind of thing, you know?
Ooh. I bet they have laws about sleep schedules.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
They mandate a keto diet.
Yeah, then I'm done. That's
One of the white laws is you can't eat gluten.
Well, no more than one alcoholic drink a week.
that probably you joke about that one, but
What is a keto diet? Isn't it
no,
isn't it
keto.
a martial art?
It's no carb. It's like no carbs.
KETO.
Yeah,
I see. I thought he said aikido.
like a lot of
Aikido.
like
I heard that too.
you know, I heard that a little. I
Okay.
heard that too initially, but
Keto,
Yeah.
keto, KET. I don't know how to pronounce it.
yeah, KCO.
Keto. Because it's a shortening of ketone bodies.
I don't know what that means.
It's a chemical group.
I don't know any chemicals, not one.
You just need to know to stay away from them. Chemicals are bad for you. And this is,
I
I think,
know.
a white law as well.
Probably.
We have one last question from Sun Gamer. What do you think happened to Mycroft?
I think this is probably something I'm not going to be able to guess. So I'm just Minecraft stuff.
But you're a newbie. Guess.
Utopian magic.
Okay.
He messed with his tracker again. Or like something with the pacemaker.
Maybe he's having like a Jonah and the whale moment.
Mm.
Maybe he was swallowed by a U-beast whale.
But that's
Okay.
kind of implied, or didn't they flat out say that? Or that
They
just
did
like
not
happened?
flat out say that. They definitely
okay.
did not even
Okay.
slightly say that.
All right. Well, that was kind of the implication. Yeah. Tracker, either utopian magic or he messed, like somehow his tracker or pacemaker was messed with.
Okay.
I think it's an interesting first strike in this war to go against a city of non-combatants and then war crime the people trying to help them. That's a real.
We don't know who is behind it, right?
We don't know if the second blast was intentional.
It was absolutely intentional. You will not be able to convince me otherwise.
No, it definitely would have been. Yeah.
All right, so Ash brought up Jonah, and that had me thinking, what biblical parallels are in this story other than Jesus Bridger and maybe other incarnations of gods, a la JDD?
Sniper being David to Jed Mason's Goliath.
Okay.
Okay. I don't want to say anything.
Joyce Faust being Delilah to
Ooh, to Spain
Cornell Mason. Yeah.
or Cornell. Yeah.
I don't think it's something with the Sunsayers and
I said more like a Lady Macbeth, no?
Julia being Eris.
Lady Macbeth. I don't think Lady Macbeth is in this story. Lady Macbeth feels guilt.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to think who in this story feels guilt
I don't think any of them.
other than Mycroft.
I think that's performative.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree too a little bit.
because even when he doesn't feel guilty about what he did, like to the I think he
Anybody
feels
but Apollo. He's sad that Apollo's gone.
yeah. As far as his rampage, yeah, like Apollo's limit. I think he feels. I think he does feel guilty about Bridger's everything around Bridger, but that's I think about it.
How do you like that we got the idea from 9A that Mycroft is actually feels like he is inferior to most people, and one of the very small classes of people that he feels superior to is junior servicers.
I think he has way too big of an ego for that to be true. The biblical question is an interesting one that I want to circle back on when I have thought more. And it sounds like based on Kip's reaction, circle back on once we get through perhaps the stars.
I have foreknowledge. You don't. Speculate
Yeah,
away.
right. Yes, yeah, that's right. That's and
I only asked because I couldn't think of any.
there aren't because
I was thinking more like Homer.
yeah, a lot of it's like more like wrapped in other stuff that's not explicitly Judeo, like the Abrahamic stuff.
Yeah. Like Danae might be Cosette
I don't know that one.
from Les Mis.
Oh yeah,
She's the worst character.
Gotcha.
Madame exists. And Thisbe.
Madame, I guess, would be the
Thénardier?
tavern keeper's wife.
Yeah. Madame Thénardier. But she's also the tavern keeper. She's both. She is both
Yes.
the worst people in Les Mis.
Everybody loves the landlord. Everybody loves his wife. I think are lines said in Les Mis.
Everybody raise a glass.
Everyone, the master
Raise
of
it
the
up
house.
the masters.
Oh, I was going with the glass of the four of us to tell the story of tonight, but that's a
All right,
different
sell me on
direction.
Les Mis because I've never really had the interest of reading it.
Watch it.
I'm not going to sell you on
Or
reading
listen.
it. I have no intention of doing that
Why would I watch something when I could read it?
Because it's a really good musical.
because it's entirely different and doesn't waste paragraphs and pages on descriptive phrases that make the Lord of the Rings look concise.
Oh,
Oh, please.
how
There
would
are
you know
more
if you haven't read
egregious-
it?
I have read it.
Robert
Oh,
Jordan and
okay.
Steven Erickson are also guilty of this.
Oh no, not Steven Erickson.
He doesn't get to be absolved from that, but it's a thing of the genre. But that's Terra Ignota also indulges in this occasionally.
I wish it would do it more. I wish we'd get more descriptive phrases of these spectacle cities.
Well, actually, yes. I would take more descriptive stuff about the cities and less of Mycroft. Like we can, instead of having 4 pages of Mycroft like internal monologue, we can have 2 pages, and those other 2 pages can be.
Boo.
Les Mis will go on and on about a field or the contents of a silverware drawer or the layout of Parisian sewers.
Yeah, I am like tempted to read the book maybe, but I don't know. The musical's good, and like I haven't seen the Hugh Jackman movie, but the Liam Neeson movie I remember is not bad.
Watch the stage play. Don't watch
But
the movie.
yes, the play is better.
The Hugh Jackman movie is an example of why you don't do live singing without severe post-production.
I have so much access to English language adaptations of French plays.
Well, honestly, just the soundtrack's good. You can listen to the soundtrack.
I think it was on Netflix for a while.
I am so
Maybe
tempted
only-
to send you my school production where I get slapped in the face.
Oh, very good. Yeah, let's do a group
Yeah,
watching of that.
Yes, let's do this. Next movie.
Is that
night.
part on repeat?
On the topic of cities, Esperanto City is a fantastic name for something built in Africa. Just hats off.
What city?
Esperanto?
Oh, Esperanza City is built in Antarctica.
Esperanto City, isn't that the name?
Esperanza
Yeah.
City, which translates roughly as like hope, right?
No, never mind. I hate it. Esperanto would have been a better name.
Like the language Esperanto, like I learned about it like last night.
Or the very first conlangs.
yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
I like Esperanto. And Esperanto is one of the few ways that the Terra Ignota world could have maybe ditched some of this gender BS.
We were talking about that was my thought was, oh, I'm surprised that this isn't referenced in Terra Ignota given like all the language stuff. But also like no one actually
No one-
uses it,
yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Conlangers are some of the most lovably deluded people in existence. If they think that their language is going to catch on.
I don't think any conlangers actually think their language is going to catch on. Just the
Some-
Esperanto, dude.
Some have.
Like Klingon.
Some conlangs are intended for education. Some are intended for entertainment.
wait, a conlang is just something that's like
Constructed language.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, these people have like very strong opinions on like syntax and phonemes
Okay.
and bit rate.
So forgive me, I know very little about Esperanto. Why would that be helpful for the gender thing?
Because it's one of the very few languages that was designed with an eye to gender neutrality in the first place.
I to what?
An eye to gender neutrality with gender neutrality factored in.
Yeah, okay. An I to gender neutrality. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I was also thinking like I2C protocols here.
Yeah. I mean, Japanese is gender neutral.
But it wasn't like set out to try and be gender neutral.
I don't know, but okay.
I'm amazed that French still exists in the Terra Ignota world, or most of the Romance languages, really.
Yeah, all of them.
And-
Yeah. Like
Yep.
Spanish.
You can thank the
I'm
Europeans
not.
for that.
God, French. Hey, we want some French people on this team. Can we join? Do you guys speak English? No. We're gonna join you, but you have to speak our language. Is that okay? No, that's not okay. Well, okay, we're not gonna join then. That's French.
That is how French works. Yeah. And it's definitely how it works in Eurovision. I think we're about done with convos here, but I had one more point.
I will say I will circle back on my whole take on Jed and deities in this world. That can be a continuing conversation that I can be moved on, but
Please, my eyebrows are gonna fall off the top of my head.
oh,
They can only go so
got
high.
that. I just got that.
I'm curious. So Madame is all about authenticity, right? Like, is she using arsenic in her makeup?
Somehow doubt it.
You know what? I'm sure that she is, and I'm sure that the Utopians are providing her chelating agents in order to counteract that, so that she can live her authentic life and to not have to pay for it.
Yeah, but not for anybody else in the house. Definitely not Dominic.
Oh no! You have to earn the chelating agents.
That tracks. You know, Madame should be a humanist.
No, she wants to be an empress, so European it is.
Yeah, European.
Or technically a Mason, but obviously she can't control.
I don't think she could be a Mason.
I don't think she could
she'd
be.
willing to. She
No,
wouldn't
she-
be willing to subject
Yeah.
herself to the actual pain that is required to become emperor.
She might like that, but
She would be Mason.
She might be
with,
what?
with all capitals, Mason. Because no one else knows what's in the oath of office. She can just ignore it.
I like this oath of office system, actually.
No one else knows what's in the oath of office, and no one knows what's in the Masonic laws. So she could just do whatever she wanted. The thing is, she wants to be the wife of the power, not the power itself.
I hope page 1 of book 4 is just the oath of office,
I would like to see the oath of office.
so that the Masons could cry for the rest of the book. Oh no! Somebody read our words. Oh.
That's actually the entirety of book 4 is just Masonic whining about the oath of office. Yeah.
It sounds realistic.
I don't think that the Masons have done much whining at all in the series so
I
far.
was saying I'm waiting for Ash to come to their defense.
You're right.
Really?
It's not whining. It's just
Lex prohibitum.
Yeah, sorry, we can't talk about this.
I hate the Masons.
I'm curious.
I don't know why you hate them. They're compared
I think I
especially-
made myself pretty clear. I think they're self-important, and like their stupid rules and their stupid dictatorship, and their values are just absolutely not aligning with my own.
Cornell is like
Yeah,
that. I
Cornell's
think
the
Martin,
one that leads the Hyde.
right?
Martin's
But
awesome.
I think Martin is like probably a more ideal, like platonic ideal of like a Mason.
Sure, but I think if Martin was in Mason's place as the emperor, he wouldn't be any
Maybe the
different.
same.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
agree with
probably,
that, actually.
Probably, yeah, probably.
I only like Martin because he's not doing this stupid stuff that Mason's doing.
Yeah, that's fair.
He would be bound by the same stupid rules that they have, and then feel so. I hate them so much.
And instead, he's releasing Mycroft into Alba Longa and watching the release of his beast aspect from his younger days take place.
Oh, that's
We like
so
him.
that's so funny. That's so extra. That's so over the top dramatic.
Sorry, did someone have? Is it Asher Kip had a?
Didn't have a question. I figured out what my comment was. It was about
Yeah.
Esperanza City being a combination of utopia and humanist. And of course, the humanists get the name in Spanish.
So far there have been 2 hives that are linked with utopians now. That's the humanists and the masons. Cornell, his plan is to like link. Sorry, that he lets the utopians go first, and then he populates whatever planets they colonize with masons.
Yep.
I was wondering when actual Imperium would come into the story, and I guess that's it.
Wait, sorry. The
That the Masonic plan for Utopia is to have Utopia populate the worlds, or have Utopia terraform the worlds, and then Masons go in and link it into their Imperium.
Okay. So basically, like take over the Utopian hive, or work with them.
Just their planets, because more people want to live as Masons than Utopians.
Yeah.
They're going to take
Right.
advantage of the hard work of the Utopians and then, I don't know, just do what basically the Utopians are doing it for, like people to live there.
Right.
I think this is not conflicting with what the utopians want. It's,
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, they don't seem. They wouldn't.
it's like an arrangement that works out very well for them. They get the powerful
like
guy
parasitic.
backing them. How is it? I don't think it's
No, because
parasitic.
Is he backing them? Do they
Yeah.
need his help?
It is parasitic.
Wait, on whose side?
Does Utopia need Masonic help?
Whether or not they need it, they've been benefiting from it, right?
Yes. They certainly need it in the Senate, for
Yeah.
example.
Okay.
Yeah, like he gives them political cover. I think that they would be much worse off if they didn't have a kind of shield, like any of the world leaders looking out for them. I think that Mason's the only one that really is.
That we know of.
Protecting the right to range strange children.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, like it seems like a contradiction, right? Like if people are upset about sets and not looking at Utopia, I guess Cornell Mason's like, please don't look Utopia. Let them
Yep.
do what they're doing.
Do not look at them.
Yeah.
Lie low.
Yeah, so like he's very willing to make himself the center of attention, which is a criticism
well,
and I think a pro for him. You know, like he's saying, I think he's in 7 Surrenders or 2 Like the Lightning. He's like, whatever this bad thing happens, I can take the heat for it. Just blame me. It'll be fine.
Actually, I do agree that that is a positive characteristic.
That was when Utopia was like, we don't want to take over the car system. The world will not view that favorably.
Right.
It's like, then build me a car system, make it a Masonic system, and I will take the heat.
Yeah.
My final question was, we finally got to see utopian cities, or at least a utopian enclave adjacent to Hobbstown. How did you like it?
A lot of Gryffindor.
Yeah, Gryffindor was cool. Futuristic stuff's cool.
I was sad that Atlantis blew up before we got to see it.
Yeah, I didn't like realize. I would have liked to have either seen it or at least known that it was Utopian City like before it got blown up.
Much like their space elevators, they're just kind of assumed that everyone knows about them.
Yeah.
Okay, also, that list of references to stuff after it's in 2021.
The Joycean list that I talked about earlier?
Yes. Okay, like what exactly
Kepler,
is-
Milton, Caspian, Quark,
Yes.
Avalon, Watson.
Those are names.
Yeah, so are they like places? Are they utopians? Are like what
They're utopians, right?
like
I think they are utopians, but I think there might be some places in there.
okay. And they're just places that were destroyed
Yeah. Or
Okay.
killed.
or killed. Yeah, killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was very funny how the utopians kidnap all these people who can design harbingers, and then all these people immediately die, allegedly.
Someone didn't believe in a superpower monopoly.
Well, wait, didn't they say that was just the people that voluntarily surrendered? Because weren't the people that they kidnapped, or vice versa? Like, wasn't it only one of the groups?
I think they were both in Atlantis.
Oh, okay. Maybe they were.
Yeah, it felt very much like a Harry Potter time turner situation. This breaks what I'm going for. Screw it. We'll remove it from the story.
Okay, I want to bring up something. One of the names, I assume this is a character name.
So it says at some point someone announced that Atlantis was where the Utopians had hidden the Harbinger adepts, the willing ones who consented to go with them and give Utopia a monopoly on Armageddon. Now most of them are gone, and no one, or fewer people anyways, can end the world. We're all supposed to feel safer. A lot of people do feel safer. Except who knows if it's true.
Who said that?
Nine.
So as I was saying, one of the names is Kusanagi. Do you know where Kusanagi's from?
Japan?
Japanese mythology?
Kusanagi Makoto, I believe, is from where the name came from. It has the main character of Ghost in the Shell, a story about a character whose brain was uploaded into a computer.
But isn't it
Not mutually exclusive?
Isn't it also a thing in Japanese mythology from like Tale of Genji or something?
I think it's the name of a sword.
Yeah, it's the name of a sword.
Yeah.
Is it like a possessed sword?
No,
It's a
it's one
divine
of the
sword.
3 symbols of the Imperial House. In
Oh,
the tale
the
of,
Yamato?
Heike, it was kind of thrown in the ocean when one of the princes died. And they claim to have actually gotten it back, but nobody's like actually believes that, I think. I think just like, oh, we found it. And it was like, oh, wow, good for you. Wink, wink.
Some muted reactions to the Utopian city. Okay.
It is cool. I mean,
Yeah, because we're not there for very long.
it's no cousin city.
Did we get
Have
a
we
cousin
seen
city?
any cousin cities?
Casablanca.
Oh, well, yeah.
Oh, wow. They have good taste in cities.
Okay. I think we're going to end it there. This has been the Legendarium Green Team covering The Will to Battle. If you want to join us talking further about Dr. Ada Palmer's works, join us on our Discord. Thank you, Craig, for loaning us this corner of your media empire. Thank you, Horizon Brave, for getting us all started. And thank you to the Jingle Punks for giving us our intro and outro music, Galactic Damages. I've been Kyptan, and it's been a pleasure.
Goodbye.
Yep, bye.
Bye.
All right.